Luke Harrison had seen his share of oddities, but nothing matched the sheer nonsense of the letter in his hand. Thick, official, and stamped with a logo that twisted his gut with annoyance. It was from the Homeowners Association. An HOA? He lived on 1,500 acres of farmland, not some cookie-cutter suburb. Yet, as he scanned the words, disbelief turned to fury. The letter claimed his farm family land for generations, where he'd poured his heart and sweat had been sold due to non-payment of HOA fees. Sold to developers for community expansion, with 30 days to vacate. Luke reread it, willing it to make sense. It didn't. Someone thought they could steal his land, sell it, and boot him like a renter. He crumpled the letter, jaw tight. If this wasn't a prank, someone was about to regret it. Storming into the HOA office, Luke was torn between laughing and smashing furniture. The receptionist, with a fake smile that screamed, "I love rules," looked up with thinly veiled contempt. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone dripping condescension. Luke slapped the letter on the desk. "Explain how an HOA I don't belong to thinks it can sell my farm." Her smile didn't budge. "You must be Mr. Harrison. Wait while I get MS. Carver, our HOA president." Luke didn't wait, followed her into an office where a woman in her early 60s sat behind a sleek desk, scrolling her phone like she wasn't wrecking lives for fun. Eleanor Carver barely looked up. "Mr. Harrison," she said, her voice syrupy with false charm. "Hear about the property transfer?" Luke exhaled slowly, keeping his cool. "The illegal transfer. I'm not in your HOA. Explain how you think you can sell my land." Eleanor sighed, as if he were overreacting. "It's simple, Mr. Harrison. Your land was annexed into our community expansion after a town vote. All legal. We sent notices." Luke's eye twitched. "What notices?" Her smile sharpened. "We mailed them to the address on file." Luke laughed, short and bitter. "The address on the land you stole?" She shrugged. "If you didn't check your mail, that's not our fault. And since you didn't pay HOA fees, there are no fees because I'm not in your HOA." Luke snapped. Eleanor sighed again, patronizing. "Let's not make this difficult. The property's transferred. You have 30 days to vacate. We're even offering a relocation stipend." She slid a check across the desk. Luke glanced at it. For $100. They'd sold his multi-million-dollar farm for $400. He stared, then at her, then laughed a deep, uncontrollable roar that grew louder as Eleanor's lips pursed. "You think this is funny?" she asked. Wiping his eyes, Luke leaned in, voice low. "Eleanor, you just made the worst mistake of your life." She rolled her eyes. "We're done here." Luke grabbed the check, balled it up, tossed it over his shoulder, and walked out. He drove straight to his lawyer, who gaped at the documents. "Forged signatures," he muttered, flipping pages with disgust. "Bribed officials. These contracts won't hold in a fair trial." Luke crossed his arms. "So we sue." His lawyer sighed. "Luke, these people have deep pockets and political pull. A lawsuit could take years, and they might bulldoze your farm first." Luke's fingers tapped the desk. He wasn't one to back down, but a drawn-out fight risked everything. Then he remembered something Eleanor didn't know. He pulled a second deed from his pocket, one they hadn't checked. His lawyer scanned it, froze, then grinned. "Luke, is this?" Luke nodded. "Yup." The lawyer leaned back, awestruck. "They screwed up big." Luke stood, stretching. "They sold land with no water, and the only water source for their whole community." He grinned wider. "It's on my other property, the one they didn't touch." The next morning, Luke woke with the calm of a man holding aces. The HOA thought they'd cornered him, but they'd trapped themselves. He made a call, and by noon, the pipes to the HOA's water supply were shut off. Not a drop would cross his land. Legally, he was untouchable. The HOA had annexed his farm without consent, so he owed them nothing. It wasn't just revenge, it was business. They wanted water? They'd pay. The first call came from an unknown number. Luke let it ring. Then another, and another. On the fifth, he answered, smirking. "Mr. Harrison." Eleanor's voice, no longer smug, was sharp with panic. "We're having a water supply issue." Luke played dumb. "Water trouble? That's rough." She inhaled, barely containing herself. "The entire community's dry." Luke nodded to himself. "Call the water company." A pause. "You are the water company," she hissed. Luke let the silence linger, savoring her realization. Oh, right. That well's mine, isn't it? That's got a sting. Eleanor snapped. You can't cut our water. Hundreds depend on it. Luke leaned against his porch, watching his horses graze. Here's the deal, Eleanor. You never paid for that water, and since I'm not in your HOA, why should I give it for free? This is extortion, she yelled. Luke chuckled. No, what you did was extortion. This is business. Want water? I'll sell it $4 million up front, $8,000 monthly to keep it flowing. Silence. Then, you're insane, she shrieked. Luke yawned. Got crops to water. Call when you're ready to deal. He hung up. By evening, the HOA was chaos. Residents couldn't shower, the golf course withered, fountains stalled, and the pool turned murky. Luke sipped iced coffee on his porch, watching HOA board members scramble. They'd been so cocky, thinking they could crush him. Now they were drowning in their own mess. The next morning, Eleanor showed up in person, dressed in a blazer that screamed, I'm important. But her stressed face told another story. We need to talk, she said through clenched teeth. Luke sipped his coffee. Now you want to chat? She crossed her arms, glancing at news vans by the HOA office. The story had hit the press. We can't pay $4 million, she admitted. Luke scratched his chin. That's a shame. She exhaled. We'll offer $40,000. Luke laughed so hard he nearly choked. $40,000 for your only water source? Try a real offer. Wait, she blurted as he turned away. You can't. Luke held up a hand. I can. You've got 24 hours before the price doubles. Eleanor's face flushed, but she stormed off without a word. That afternoon, Luke's lawyer called. The HOA's finances are a disaster, mismanaged funds, years of scams. Residents are suing. Luke whistled. They're broke. Yup, his lawyer said. They're done. Eleanor had built her empire on control rules, fines, fear. But now, facing an angry mob of homeowners, she had nothing. Lawns died, pools stank, and the country club ran out of ice. Residents turned on her, demanding answers. She tried drilling a new well, but the land was useless, rocky, dry, no water. Tapping the old system meant buying from Luke, and he wasn't budging. Eleanor's last desperate move was a letter threatening to sue Luke for sabotaging community resources. He tore it up, laughing. She was grasping at straws. Then the residents struck. Digging into HOA records, they found years of fraud. Eleanor had siphoned fees for vacations, clothes, even a new SUV. The news exploded, and the town buzzed. Lawsuits piled up, accounts froze, and board members quit or distanced themselves. Eleanor's kingdom collapsed. And Luke? He delivered the knockout. When the HOA went bankrupt, he bought it at auction. The group that stole his land was now his. Eleanor was stunned. Luke didn't stop there. He dissolved the HOA. No more fees, no more rules about mailbox colors or trash cans. Residents cheered, throwing parties with music blaring, free from Eleanor's reign. Luke's final jab was personal. He sent Eleanor an eviction notice. Her mansion, built with stolen HOA funds, was on land he now owned. She lost it all: her home, her power, her smug grin. The last time Luke saw her, she was loading a beat-up moving van, her polished look gone, misery in its place. Luke tipped his hat and sipped his coffee. But Luke had one more surprise. He turned the old HOA office and clubhouse into a petting zoo and burger joint. Where Eleanor once ruled, kids now laughed, goats roamed, and burgers sizzled. The community, once stifled, thrived. As Luke watched families enjoy the space, he knew they'd messed with the wrong farmer, and he'd made sure they'd never forget.